Great. So I'm a partner at Carneagle. We're a strategy consulting firm which focuses on the education space. But my biggest passion is in the childcare space. So we do a lot of work advising both providers and investors in the space, really around their commercial decision support. A lot of commercial due diligence, but a lot of supporting organisations to really unlock the best out of their businesses as well. Obviously go beyond that. Prior to having been at Carneagle, I was head of M&A at Bright Horizons, so I've been in the sector for 13 years. And don't just consider myself to be an advisor, very much consider myself to be kind of one of, really care about the space. Spent a lot of time, for example, last year with the COVID crisis working group, really working together through some of the challenges in the sector. So it's a really interesting question because I think actually things are already getting better. We track occupancy by talking to providers, by running surveys. And overall, I think there are good cohorts of providers where the kind of the recovery is already getting there. We just actually spoke to 10 or 15 providers, and I'd say around about 2/3 of them had already started to see that their occupancy was back up to historic levels. That doesn't mean everybody is. So I think there's going to be a natural progression where we come out of COVID, there will be another bump along the way, probably, possibly a fourth wave as the vaccine wears off, but we're much better equipped to deal with that. I think occupancy will generally recover, probably not 2022, probably 23 before it recovers, because we've got to have a full recovery of the economy. Parents who have decided not to enrol their children will obviously need to work their way through the system. But the reality is that childcare is closer to essential social infrastructure. You have to be able to have childcare to be able to work, and we do think that there is a long-term recovery within that. I think that said, you have to accept that childcare isn't going to look, or demand isn't going to look exactly as it did in the past. We're seeing a shift of childcare closer to residential, professional areas and away from commuter areas, away from commuter routes, away from workplaces. And people have to be prepared to think about where they should be. Yeah, so we run regular surveys on this. So we've talked a little bit about, clearly there is an issue around overall demand, although we think it's recovering. You do have issues around schoolification and then competing with schools. You've got issues around the fact that demand has moved around. But I think, look, there are other challenges which are, I'd say the number one challenge that always comes up is around staff. Staff is really, really tough. And we thought it would get better because there would be less other jobs to go for, but actually there's now an issue around vacancies and staff challenges across the world. So whatever you had pre-COVID is even worse now on average, both in terms of being able to recruit and retain staff, but also in order to be able to pay them. So I'd say that is actually the biggest challenge everybody has at the moment. Number two probably being schoolification, demand, and then there are obviously operational challenges as well that people are having. At the risk of doing a plug for Connect, I think actually a lot of this is, about how do you create differentiation. Some of that will come from not just deploying, but actually fully utilizing systems that help you. So I think we're well past the world of 13 years ago where you can just say if you build it, they will come. You have to have a proper CRM. You have to have proper digital sales and marketing to win. So you have to be investing in that. And the system is more important than ever. If you don't have a system, you're going to be losing against the other people who do have one. If you're not doing digital marketing and doing full conversion of inquiries, you're leaving money on the table. And you can't afford to do that in this world when the market's so competitive. You have to be able to be tracking issue, not just the children, but things around the staffing. So I think now is a time to really embrace systems and processes that make you your very best. I think that's the number one thing that you can do, because that's within your control. Some of the things that are structural aren't within your control. You've got to just out-compete them. We saw some incredible collaboration over the course of 2020. Every cloud has a silver lining. Perhaps operators hadn't collaborated directly as much as they used to, and we saw the likes of, we saw the operators come together much more closely. We saw the wider ecosystem, advisors or service providers like you and I come together and help and try to do it, for the benefit of the sector. And we saw the membership bodies also come together. So you had the likes of the Early Years Alliance, the NDNA, and PACey come together. Now, everybody's got slightly different agendas, but actually we are all in this together. And what I really hope is that there'll be that continuing and that won't fade away. I think together is stronger. When one thinks about lobbying, when one thinks about navigating the issues together, I think it's really, really important. Yes, people compete and have different agendas, but it's only at the edges. And I'd love to see more of that. And I think it will make us a much stronger together with not a fully unified voice, but one where we can achieve more.